Hello, welcome back. I'm Statman Dave, and today we're going to be looking at 3 players that Arsenal should sign in January. Manchester City are without Rodri to the end of the season. This is a massive opportunity for Mikel Arteta and Arsenal, and they need to get this transfer window completely correct. So we're going to look at 3 players that Arsenal should sign. At number 1, Arsenal should sign Ademola Lookman from Atalanta. If Arsenal want a player that is in the prime of his career, Lookman is the perfect guy. Could operate on that left wing, but play a slightly different role to Gabriel Martinelli and Trossard. A true inside forward that has got real completeness. Ademola Lookman is an inside forward who has found a home in Gasparini's 3-4-3. The Nigerian international is a live wire who makes things happen from the last line, often combining his electric pace with dangerous off-the-ball runs to get in behind defences. Now a goal scorer, Lookman has become a lethal finisher off both feet through hard work and dedication to his craft, able to score every kind of goal, from long-range screamers to calm finishes inside the box. Regardless of the shooting situation, Lookman finishes them with power and precision. Averaging a goal every 92 minutes in Italy, Ademola Lookman is starting to live up to his potential and just about entering his peak years. For Arsenal, Lookman will provide an X factor on the left wing. As we mentioned, he is in the prime of his career right now. Everything he's touching is turning into goals and assists. He's on 0.24 goals and assists per 90 this season in Serie A, which is quite frankly ridiculous numbers. And I also think when you compare Saka on the right hand side, that's got more assists than goals, Lookman in the team providing more goals and assists is a really good balance. And we all know that Arsenal like to create down this right hand side. The triangle between Martin Odegaard, Saka and the right back, be that Jurrien Timber or Ben White, is a real area where Arsenal create, either through direct carries with, let's say, Bukayo Saka taking on the fullback and then cutting and get the ball in the box, or alternatively looking for through balls for Martin Odegaard to spin in on that inside channel, or something that's been added this season, and that's Jurrien Timber overlapping Saka, getting down the byline, once again putting the ball in the box. But Arsenal do lack a clinical player in that area. Kai Havertz is a good finisher, but not clinical. Where Lookman comes into this team and this role is on that goal-scoring left-hand side. You could also argue that Arsenal's left is a little bit more defensive and requires a little bit more of attacking impetus from the left winger. But in terms of Lookman, what he's really good at is putting the ball in the back of the net when it's on the other side. He's a winger that attacks the post really well. We've got a great example of that in the Europa League final last season against Bayer Leverkusen. So in this final, Atalanta focused their creativity down their right-hand side with Zapata Costa, yes, the ex-Chelsea man, being a key performer. But as Atalanta are building this attack, we can't even see Lookman. He is not in shot right now, and he arguably catches the Leverkusen defence a little bit unaware. But as the play is built and Zapata Costa underlaps with a really good first touch, Lookman is now just in shot. Look how wide he is. I want you to focus on Ezekiel Palacios as well, the Leverkusen central midfielder that's kind of sitting in that defensive position. But as Lookman moves in and Zapata Costa delivers the ball, he is the first to react in the penalty area, bursts past Ezekiel Palacios, who thinks he's going to simply clear the ball, and puts it in to an unguarded net. But that ability to attack that back post, given that Arsenal create a lot down their right-hand side, is going to be a big advantage if they bring the Nigerian international to the Emirates. So not only can Lookman provide the finishing touches on moves that Arsenal could generate on the right-hand side of their shape, but he's clinical in his own right when getting the ball to feet and taking on his opponents. Lookman right now is playing some of the best football of his career. He's explosive both sides, he can finish off both feet. And that's something that will allow him to be the number 1 guy at Arsenal. It would give clarity to the likes of Martinelli and Trossard. Trossard could become the utility man, the guy that can play striker, attacking midfield on the right and the left. And of course, Gabriel Martinelli can take a little bit of a backward seat and work on his development. You know, looking at someone like Lookman, who could be a great role model, that's someone that's just really improved, a bit of a journeyman as well. He's played in Germany, played in the Premier League, started out at Charlton Athletic, and now doing it in Serie A for Atalanta. But In terms of that ability, when receiving in the wide areas, Lookman does like to cut inside, as most right-footed attackers do, and get shots on goal. But what I like about Lookman is his maturity of his finishing. And I want to take another example, but this time against Real Madrid in the Champions League this season. So jumping into this goal against Real Madrid, again, Lookman is out of shot. He's holding width, something that he would have to do in Arteta's system. But the big thing here is not only his ability to create a shooting opportunity, but it's how he finishes. In terms of that width that he's holding right now, very good. He's holding the Real Madrid backline. He's stretching the back four over. But the first touch is very good, instantly killing the ball. I like how he feints here. He steps on that right foot to kind of disbalance that defender, arguably showing himself that he might go on that outside, which he can do. But instead, he chops back on the inside and finishes into the near post. This is a really mature finish. Usually what you'll see attackers do in this area is aim for that far post with a kind of a more of a floaty finish. But he whips it straight into the bottom corner, scores a cracking goal against Real Madrid. Lookman has the calibre to improve Arsenal's starting lineup. So he's spoken a lot about goal scoring with Lookman so far, 8 goals in Serie A, but he's also got 4 assists. And he's a real danger when his team is in possession on the opponent's backline. His ability to time his runs in between the opposition's fullback and centre-back is very good. And not only does he score goals from those runs in behind defence, but he makes things happen. And why I think this will benefit Arsenal is there's a lot of players in the Arsenal squad that like to come and get drawn towards the ball, like to receive into feet, you know, your midfield 2, your number 9. But having someone that can kind of penetrate the other way is really important. We're going to have a look at an assist this time against Girona in Serie A. So we pick up the play with Lookman high up the pitch. Atalanta are building out of their back 3. What I like about Lookman is his discipline to hold a position. You've got to stretch the opponents. You can't have everyone coming to feet. You need players to go the other way. And that's what Lookman does in this move. Atalanta building up like they do with a centre-back carrying out of defence. Now what you're going to see is their left diamond really working together with Lookman on the inside. So the ball's going to get shipped inside to Ederson. He's going to simply drop the ball back and make a forward run. Again, the fluidity of Atalanta, quite similar to Arsenal. But what I like here, once again, he's not demanding the ball. He's playing slightly as an off-the-ball player in this move. Ederson, once again, receives in a really good pocket of space. And as soon as that pass is played, Lookman is spinning in behind. He's playing almost a step ahead of the defenders. Ederson plays it first time. Lookman's in behind the defence, and it's a simple tap-in for his striker. And this is something that we could see with Arsenal. You know, the interplay between, let's say, a Calafiori, Mikel Moreno, or alternatively a Kai Havertz, let's say, drifting to that side, would allow someone like Lookman to go unnoticed and then be the player that slipped in behind the defence. And we all know about Bukayo Saka's ability to attack the far post and put balls into the back of net. This could be a really good option. And when you look at the shot creating action numbers for Lookman this season, he's averaging 7.44 per 90. That is better than any player in the Premier League. When you look at Saka, he makes things happen. Lookman would do that as well. It's not just his goals, but his ability to move off the ball to create for his teammates. Lookman is literally in the prime of his career right now and would evolve Arsenal's attack on that left wing. Would provide a goal-scoring option, would also provide assists, but it would really take Arsenal closer to that Premier League title. On to number 2, Arsenal should sign Omar Mamouche from Eintracht Frankfurt. Omar Mamouche has found success for Eintracht Frankfurt as a second striker, either operating in a 4-4-2 or occasionally in a 3-4-2-1. A very pacey player, Mamouche clocked a top speed in the Bundesliga last season that was faster than the likes of Benjamin Sesko, Karim Adeyemi and Kingsley Coman. Unsurprisingly, this makes him a huge threat on the counter-attack, but Mamouche is also quite a tricky dribbler who's good at getting his shots off. Mamouche is also a good runner who finds space well, notably attacking the inside right channel or out wide on the left. From the right, Mamouche is more creative and looks for his teammates with low crosses, whilst from the left, Mamouche is a classic right-footed goalscorer, preferring to cut inside and shoot. As you'd expect from a Bundesliga forward, Mamouche is a good first-line presser, thanks to his speed and aggression. So now we've got a basic understanding of Omar Mamouche as a player. Where would he fit in at Arsenal? Well, for me, Mamouche is best when playing in a front two, especially with a forward that kind of likes to receive to feet at certain times and looks to combine with his teammates, while Mamouche can be the off-the-ball runner. In terms of players that I'd liken him to, think Antoine Griezmann at the start of his career, when he was a second striker for Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid, a player that would start deep in certain moves, explode to receive through balls in behind the defence, or alternatively, be the guy drifting in the wide area and creating for his centre-forward teammate. That means Arsenal may need to change their shape a little bit, and I think what we potentially see if Mamouche was signed is Ødegaard dropping a little bit deeper and being involved a lot more in the build-up. Something that we've seen at times with Arsenal, Ødegaard dropping into that deeper role to allow that right-hand side to truly function. From that position, Kai Havertz could operate in his normal hybrid role of dropping off the line, sometimes spinning in behind, but Mamouche very much operating in an area where he can drift into the wide areas, combine out there, or alternatively hold his narrow position. I think the biggest thing though, why Mamouche would be really good for Arsenal is the threat on the counter-attack. Eintracht Frankfurt in fact have less possession than their opponents on average, around 47% in the Bundesliga. And a lot of goals that you see Mamouche score is he's racing behind an opposition's backline that's in their attacking structure. And for me, when you think about Arsenal in these bigger games, what they lack is some central pace. I feel that would catch the likes of Manchester City or Liverpool out. So you think when the opposition have got up into their kind of attacking structure, maybe with a fullback inside, a back three, let's just pretend it's Man City with two wingers in there, and they're controlling the tempo. Arsenal get back into a really good shape. Their 4-4-2 structure in these big games is fantastic. It's one of my favourite. But you got to think that if, for example, Arsenal could win it in a central midfield area, let's say with their two midfielders, kind of goal side of Arsenal's two forwards, and Arsenal can spring on that back three with a lot of pace and a lot of carrying, which is exactly what Omar Mamouche could bring to the Arsenal side, that is an asset. When you look at that, we take an example from the game against Bayern Munich this season in the Bundesliga. So pick up the play with Bayern attacking. Again, this is something that Arsenal have had to deal with against teams in the top six this season. But as Frankfurt forced Bayern Munich into a backwards pass, Mamouche is not in shot right now. He is a danger and a weapon on the counter-attack. As Bayern try and recycle the ball, Frankfurt squeeze, they press for those four players, and they win the ball back. They look for a long ball, they're chasing the game, there's only 3 minutes left on the clock, they've got to get the ball forward, but they are quite a direct team independent of that. As the ball goes up, Mamouche finally comes into shot. Unfortunately, doesn't win the header, but the ball breaks to his teammate and he springs in behind. Kim Min-jae is a very, very quick forward, but just look how Mamouche has that kind of movement off the ball on his blind side and then exploding in between the gap. And the speed of Mamouche is a weapon and it could be used for Arsenal in the transition in games against the big sides, but also against smaller teams, let's say if they've scored a goal from a corner. What I like about Mamouche from this position, his finishing is very clean. As soon as he gets into the penalty area, fires the ball into the back of the net, gets a massive point for Eintracht Frankfurt. So I think the 4-4-2 in a defensive sense makes a lot of sense. Of course, that shape would evolve with Arsenal on the ball. You know, playing with two wingers. Again, Martin Ødegaard could move into an advanced area and join to create that front three. But also, let's talk about the concept of Kai Havertz playing as a left central midfielder. And that would mean that Mamouche would play as the number 9. Again, he would offer a very different option to someone like a Kai Havertz or a Gabriel Jesus, more of a kind of false 9 or deep lying forward. I think from these positions, what you're going to get from Mamouche is a player that's really going to test the opposition's backline with his pace. So if a team is kind of defending in their mid-block, you know, balls over the top in central areas now become a weapon for Arsenal because Mamouche has the speed and finishing capability to make those runs, whether that's him dropping off and then spinning in behind the defence, or alternatively it's just a direct ball over the top for him to fire home. That weapon is created by Mamouche's pace. But I also think with him having that ability to drop off the line at times, to receive, like any forward can do that's a bit mobile, that's tricky, as a Mamouche is, like an Antoine Griezmann is. Of course, Kai Havertz can provide that threat in the final third and get beyond. But I also like the creativity of Mamouche maybe playing as a little bit more of a forward. As we mentioned, that right-hand side is an area that he really likes. He likes the kind of right-hand side of the box or the inside right channel, but he also likes receiving the ball far into the wide area. And I think from these types of positions, starting as that number 9, allowing like someone like Kai Havertz to be a late attacker in the box could lead to goals. And I want to take you to an assist against Bochum. So we pick up the play with Frankfurt in possession. Mamouche has just dropped off the line to receive defeat. Imagine this in a sense as he's playing as the false 9 and let's say Kai Havertz is going to join the attack and finish off the move. But the ball into feet is very good. I love this first touch. Instantly round the corner, instantly spinning the defender, causing the problem. The space there in the mid-block to get behind it is absolutely massive. Mamouche breaks into that area and straight away plays the ball in behind the defence. I love this. Quick thinking, low cross, really accurate. And the finish is provided by Frankfurt centre forward. And I think from those types of positions, Mamouche could be a real danger for Arsenal playing as a centre forward in this shape and system. But let's go back to the tactics ball. We've looked at him as a false 9 by himself or a striker by himself. He's got that dual threat of dropping off but also spinning in, receiving, attacking the right channel. But what about him on the left wing? Let's say Arsenal go back to a slightly more defensive shape and structure. We throw in a Moreno, or let's even throw a Jorginho. Let's say we want a bit more control in a game. We want Kai Havertz operating as a false 9. Mamouche definitely can do a job on the left wing. He's a player that kind of likes that area from these types of positions. He likes to drive inside, starts wide and cuts inside and gets shots away. And that's something that I feel would provide Arsenal with a real asset in the final third. Again, it's more of a goal scorer than a creator. We spoke about Lookman, how that balances out really well. But in terms of taking up the positions, what I like about Mamouche is even though he plays as a striker in a two-man pairing or a bit of a second striker, let's say, just off that central number 9, he drifts really well to the wings. And in his first goal against Bayern Munich, you can exactly see the type of run that he can make for Arsenal. So Frankfurt are defending as you'd expect against Bayern Munich. We see a long ball out of the back to the centre forward, but just watch Mamouche's move here. First up, he's in a narrow position, but as the play comes back, Frankfurt retain possession in midfield. Just look at where Mamouche has moved to. He started in that central area, but he realised there's space out on the left wing, and that kind of develops in the attack to a point where he's demanding the ball, he wants it to be played to him, gets played to the other side, and Frankfurt lose possession, but the ball breaks, and now we've got a bit of a problem for Bayern Munich. This is a classic left winger type move, starting wide, making that inside run, and once again you can see the pace of the Egyptian attacker. Ball in behind the defence, gets there before Guerrero and finishes across Manuel Neuer. This type of play will be perfect for Arsenal if Mamouche is to start on the left wing. In terms of shot creating actions as well, from dribbles, he's the best in the Bundesliga for this season. He provides assists, since he's started flying at Eintracht Frankfurt. Harry Kane's got 14 assists, he's got 13 assists, but as well, goals are a big thing. Only Openda and Kane have scored more since he's been in this red-hot form and provide a great asset for Arsenal on the left wing. On to number 3, if Arsenal don't want goals and want more assists in their team, they should look no further than Alex Baena from Villarreal. Alex Baena is a technical attacking midfielder, a classic Spanish playmaker. Whilst Baena starts on the left of a 4-4-2, he runs all of Villarreal's attacks from the inside left channel. Technically superb, with a very clean first touch and close control, Baena is also confident on his weaker left foot. A creative hub, Baena can play all types of creative passes, be that slipping the ball to wide players, finding the feet of the strikers, picking out attackers with pinpoint crosses, or sliding the forwards in behind with through balls. Despite his short stature, like the very best Spanish playmakers, Baena is like a dog out of possession. But Baena's game is very controlled on the ball. Even when dribbling or carrying, he's always able to play a pass at will, which results in a perfectly timed pass that breaks lines and shapes. What's more, as a Spanish international, is very good at creating from set pieces, with no player registering more goal-creating actions from dead balls in La Liga last season than Baena. So where would Baena fit in at Arsenal? For me, it would be in left central midfield. It's very similar to the role that he plays for Villarreal. In terms of that position, a lot of similarities in terms of the ability to play make, to be aggressive, to be able to press. But I think first and foremost, the first part of why I feel Baena would be good for Arsenal is he could be a little bit more direct in their build-up. One of the big things with Arsenal, they're fantastic playing out of the opposition's press, be it having a double pivot, more of a kind of box shape in midfield, or alternatively, a 4-1-4-1 structure. The central midfielders are very involved in this, be it these kind of interior positions, picking up these types of spaces. The wingers are staying high and wide. But why I believe that Alex Baena is really good in this situation is he could add real directness to Arsenal's build-up. They're shifting the ball around the back, drawing the opposition's, pressing structure in super high. One ball could really kill the opponents. If Baena can get the ball in between the lines with some good build-up, he's a player that loves playing through balls. He ranks number 2 since the start of last season in La Liga, behind Rodrigo de Paul, and that is a massive part of his game, which could start Arsenal playing through teams a lot faster. We've actually got a great example of this in the game against Sevilla, with Villarreal building out from the back. In terms of build-up, there's some similarities between Villarreal and Arsenal, that being the wide centre-backs, the 2 defensive midfielders, and a U in midfield. That U is not created by the 2 central midfielders, but by one of the wide players coming inside, and that is Alex Baena's role in this team. As we can see, Villarreal building down their left-hand side, giving the build-up a bit of width. Baena slowly moves off the ball, receives defeat, completely breaking the Sevilla press. This allows him to drive forward, get his head up, and then thread a perfect through ball. Just imagine in this situation, it's not Danjuma, one of the centre forwards, but it's a Martinelli spinning in behind the defence to finish off a wonderful play from out of the back, something that Baena could give the Arsenal build-up structure. Not only would Baena provide a direct option from build-up, but he provide creativity in the final third. We all know Arsenal's kind of structure is a bit of a 3-2-5, or it's very fluid in how they build. But what we see a lot is 2 players in the inside channels and a false 9 or a forward dropping off the line, and 2 wingers super wide. One of the big things, especially with Martin Ødegaard being out, was Arsenal really failing to create opportunities. In terms of Alex Baena, the Villarreal attacking midfielder, his quality is there to see. In terms of statistics, since the start of last season in the Liga, he's number 1 for assists, number 1 for shot creating actions, number 1 for key passes, and second for through balls and crosses. And this is something that he could directly give Arsenal. Be it, as we mentioned, kind of in the build-up structure, the direct through ball to one of the wide forwards running in behind the defence. He's a player that obviously plays with a fullback that gets ahead of him usually, which is exactly what you could see with Arsenal, but maybe the wingers starting in a little bit of a higher position than you expect a forward to do. But Baena's really good at finding that pass in behind the defence for the through ball. Going further than that, another one of his skills is crossing. When he's in a wide area, again, which he could do for Arsenal, he's really good at shifting it and putting inverted crosses into the box. This is something that would be perfect for a Kai Havertz. Alternatively, another part of his skill set is that ability to attack the inside channel. Being that he usually starts from the left wing, then moves inside, this is an area that he is constantly in. He's a playmaker from the inside channel. We all know that Martin Ødegaard does something very similar on the other side. But what I like about him is at times he's really good with his combinations, with the centre forward, dropping balls into feet and then looking for the 1-2s. What I found quite surprising about him as well is from these situations, he's quite good and measured with his left foot. Looks for cutbacks, but also could pick players out on the back post, which could be goal threats in Bukayo Saka and Kai Havertz. So let's take a look at another assist, this time against Granada in the Liga, and we'll see what I'm talking about, that ability to attack the inside channel. So we pick up the play with Villarreal in a comfortable set of possession, they're an attacking structure. You can see at the bottom of the screen, their left back. He's going to provide the width in the final third, and Baena's going to be the pivot player, the guy that's going to receive and make things happen. So as Villarreal play a really good pass into his feet, his first touch is to play the centre forward in, to link with the number 9. A simple 1-2 move out the back gets him in behind the defence. And what I like about him as a player is he gets his head up. He is a crossing playmaker, plays through balls, plays crosses, but really good in these types of situations after making a combination play. But imagine this could be with Arsenal, could be a combination play with Martinelli. could be with Kai Havertz. But getting behind the defence, he finds the perfect ball, cutting it back. The attacker makes a really good move and finds the finish. All things that would make Alex Baena a really good player for Arteta's Arsenal. And finally, Baena could make Arsenal's attack a little bit different. He's used to playing behind two centre forwards, almost as a number 10 that's moved from the wide area, a wide playmaker with two runners. This would allow both Kai Havertz and Martin Ødegaard to score more goals, with Baena providing the quality in his through balls to get the two players in behind the defence. And that is something that we saw time and time again last season, especially to Soloth, who's now moved to Atletico Madrid, a player that he had a really good relationship being in that number 10 area and finding his runs in behind the defence. So this assist comes against Rayo Vallecano, and it's that kind of play, with Baena starting in a little bit of a wide area in a defensive position, but moving inside off the ball, and we can clearly see the shape. Dani Parejo receives the feet, and Baena's in acres of space. And what I mentioned before, with the two forwards being high, that could be Kai Havertz and Martin Ødegaard, or Kai Havertz and Saka, or even Martinelli and Kai Havertz. There's a lot of combinations here. But again, his first touch is very good. Classic Spanish, keeping the ball very much under control. And this is something I've seen a few times with him. Instantly receiving, then first touch playing forward in behind the defence. He finds Soloth in behind the defence, who fires across the goalkeeper. That is something that we could see at Arsenal, playing someone like a Havertz and an Ødegaard high, or alternatively as rotation, getting the likes of maybe Bukayo Saka operating in that narrow position and running behind the defence. This is something that would provide big creativity for Arsenal, and they'd score more goals and they could win the league this season. So that is 3 players that Arsenal should sign in January. I don't think they could sign all those players because that would be quite a lot of money. But Manchester City are having a wobble. Arsenal need to find that A+ player to take them from title challengers to Premier League winners. For me, Arsenal can easily chase down Chelsea and easily chase down Liverpool with one signing maybe one of these players. I think if I was looking at them, I'd look at Omar Mamouche and think his profile maybe isn't completely correct for what Arsenal want right now. Lookman would be the guy. Lookman is going to score the goals that could see Arsenal winning the Premier League. He's got that finishing quality, he's honed his skills, and has already played in the Premier League. Whereas Alex Baena is coming into a new league, coming into a new system. It could take a bit of adaptation, and we saw with Fabio Vieira that it is a bit of a gamble bringing these kind of small, more agile midfielders into the Arsenal team. So for me, Lookman is the number 1 signing for Arsenal. If they sign him, they're going to win the Premier League. But anyway, guys, I've been Statman Dave. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you later.
Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, why not check out some more content on the Statman Dave YouTube channel?